Thomas Robert Malthus, in his essay on the principle of population in 1798, stated that population control is the need of the hour in any society. Population can be controlled through two checks like preventive checks and positive checks. If we do not control the population through preventive checks, the population will be controlled through positive checks like floods, earthquakes, etc. So, population control is increasingly being attributed in many environmental documentaries and films. Around the year 19,000, Sir Francis Galton, in his publication called Hereditary Improvement, said that the unhealthy population could become enemies to the state if they continue to increase. In 1968, Paul Ehrlich, in his book The Population Bomb, noted that we must cut the cancer of population growth, and if that is not done, there would be only one other solution, namely the death rate solution, in which we raise the death rate through war, famine, plague, etc. In the same year, Gallet Hardin, in his landmark essay, The Tragedy of the Commons, in 1968, proposed that society must surrender the freedom to breed through mutual cruelty. Thus, many prominent personalities have also advocated for population control, which leads to the greater discussion. What is policy? It is a set of ideas or plans that is used as a basis for decision making or attribute and actions of an organization regarding a particular issue or general statement of understanding which guide decision making. There are several policies related to health sector, namely national health policy, nutrition policy, women policy, training policy, population policy, so on and so forth. According to Class M. Leistinger, population policy forms a large umbrella policy covering all programs and activities directly and indirectly influencing the population variables. Population policy focuses on promises and constants based on society's culture and values. According to Margaret Sanger, population policy objectives aim at striking a balance in the state between population and economic, social and environmental resources, family development and coherence, women's empowerment, consolidation of greater values of justice, development of reproductive health so as to serve provision of family and child health services. According to John D. Rockefeller, stressing the need for the continued action for the attainment of safe motherhood and stand childhood programs, population protection from the effects of deterioration of the environment surrounding as well as unsustainable and unjust production and consumption patterns. According to Frederick Osborne, population policy is the right to the propagation of life, such as the right to life itself is a human right. Thus, population policy determines the principles, objectives and principles adopted by the country as far as population issues are concerned for the purpose of influencing the population status. It includes variables in population growth and its main elements are fertility, births, deaths, geographical distribution, immigration, population composition, etc. It also consists of population youthfulness as well as general issues relating to the health and education. In other simple words, a population theory is a set of measures taken by a state to modify the way its population is changing, either by trying to increase the size of promoting natality or immigration, or by trying to decrease its size through limitation of births. A population policy can also aim to modify the distribution of the population over the country by encouraging migrations or by modifying populations. The most significant population control system in China is one-child policy, in which having more than one child is discouraged. Unauthorized births are punished by fines, although there have also been allegations of illegal or forced abortions and forced sterilization. India was the first country to take up measures for family planning back in 1951. We too, ours too. हम दो, हमारे दो in Hindi is a slogan meaning one family, two children, and is intended to reinforce the message of family planning, thereby assisting population control. Facilities offered by the government to its employees are limited to 2 children only. Government is offering incentives for families accepted for sterilization. Iran has succeeded in sharply reducing its birth rate in recent years. In Iran, mandatory contraceptive courses are required for both males and females before marriage license can be obtained. The government emphasizes the benefits of smaller families and the use of contraception. Singapore has undergone 2 major phases in its population control, that is pro-natalist policies and the anti-natalist policies. The anti-natalist policies proposals are advocating small families and developed into the Stop at 2 programs, approaching for the 2-child families and promoting sterilization. Methods of natalism, usually enforced by governments, are promoting and glorifying parenthood with the incentive to them paying for the first year of the child's life. They are also trying to limit the amount of abortions and creating an environment friendlier to the aspect of having a child and working at the same time. Since the old society believes that women cannot have jobs and be parents at the same time, the government is trying to promote the contrasting opinion of that belief. Antinatalism or migration is the opposite to natalism, the burden to limit the population of the country. This is enforced in quite a few countries. The most known is China. The policy they have is one-child policy, which is that all families are allowed to have only one child, and if this policy was broken, then there were major consequences to be forced or faced. Their method of antinatalism are considered quite forceful compared to other policies. They have forced abortions and after sterilization of male or female to prevent them from ever having a child again. United States enacted in 1970 Label X of the Public Health Service Act provides access to contraceptive services, supplies and information to that in need. Priority for services is given to the people with low incomes. The Title X Family Planning Program is administered through the Office of the Population Affairs under the Office of Public Health and Sciences. Title X is a vital source of funding for family planning clinics throughout the nation, which provide reproductive health care. France is increasing the social and women's services like child care and parental leave of its population. Italy is regarded as alleviating overpopulation more rapidly than Sweden as a result of less gender equality. 1968, Paul Ehrlich views come to be accepted by many population control advocates in the United States and Europe in 1960s and 70s. Since Ehrlich introduced his idea of the population bomb, overpopulation has been blamed for a variety of issues including increasing poverty, high unemployment rates, environmental degradation and famine, so on and so forth. Opinions vary among the economists about the effects of population change on a nation's economic health. United Nations Scientific Research in 2009 concluded that the raising of a child cost about $16,000 yearly. Some economists believe that reduction of the population is a key to economic growth. Other economists doubt that a correlation between the population reduction and the economic growth keep on going. Some economists like Walter E. Williams have argued that population, poverty and paucity are caused by unpleasant government and bad economic policies. It is generally accepted that overpopulation is aggravated by the poverty and the gender inequality with consequent unavailability and lack of knowledge of birth control plans. Requirements for an appropriate and responsible population policy are as follows: establishment of fair gender relations through the improvement of societal standing of women as well as development of reciprocal understanding and active parentships between men and women and the generations. It covers all the components of demographic growth and their related policies and offers concrete examples of population policies and their implementation challenges. Types of population policies. First one is explicit policy. It is a document by a national government announcing its intention to affect the population growth and composition. Second one is implicit. Directives not necessarily issued to influence the population growth and composition, but may have the effect of doing so. Short term. It is a policy to fulfill unmet need for contraception, sterilization and strengthening the health infrastructure, integrating the services for reproductive and child health within a short term. Medium term. It is an effective implementation of inter-sector strategies, reduce the total fertility rate by 2014. Long term policy. It is to sustain the economic growth, social development and eco-conservation stabilize to population by 2045. Much before independence, in the year 1938, a subcommittee on population was set up by the National Planning Committee approved by the interim government. Planning Committee passed a resolution in 1940 stated that the need for the state to adopt family planning and welfare policies in order to bring about a harmonious order of social economy. The resolution also stressed the need of the limitation of children. In this policy, the first 5-year plan labeled for an obvious population policy and considered family planning as a practical, essential step towards improvement in health of mothers and children. It was because in the plan, family planning was treated as a part of the health program and received 100% funding from the central government, and with each passing year, the amount of these funds has increased. The success of this family planning agenda was so clear to the heart of the government that even a separate department coined as a Department of Family Planning was carved out in the Ministry of Health in the year 1966. This was done with an objective to reinforce the population control programs. National Population Policy of India 2000. National Population Policy of India was formulated in the year 2000 with the long-term objective of achieving a steady population by 2045 at level consistent with the requirements of sustainable economic growth, social development and environmental protection. The immediate objective of the policy is to address the unmet needs for contraception, healthcare, infrastructure and health personnel, and to provide integrated service delivery for the basic reproductive and child health care. The medium term objective is to bring the total fertility rate to replacement levels within a short period of time through vigorous implementation of intersectoral operational strategies. Total fertility rate is the average number of children each woman would have in her lifetime. How far can the government or NGOs affect the voluntary private action of millions of husbands and wives, taking the individual decisions in a matter that touches one of the most intimate side of the life and raises delicate questions of custom and region? Our failure reaches us that personal choice is the heart of the issue. One of India's first big field project, the Kanna study, supposed for 6 years on several test villages containing 8,000 people, was concluded that the villagers had large families because they necessitate them. As a population expert, Usha Rai says, the promise of such profitable incentives typically make husbands push their wives to undergo sterilization and avoid a range of contraceptives that are available to help limit the size of their families. There are enough evidences to support this concern. About 37% of India's married women who use modern family planning methods have selected for sterilization. A government study has found only 1% of the males had adopted or opted for sterilization. Many steps such as use of condoms and pills were being used by only 10% of the women. Ever since 1970s, India has used a combination of compulsion and incentives to carry out the sterilization drives to check the population growth. The good news is that India's birth rate has dropped by more than half in 35 years from 5.7 children per woman in the mid-60s to 2.7 in 2010. Nearly a third of India's people have lowered their fertility to replacement levels. Experts believed that women should be offered more reversible choices for contraception like injectables and implants, which are not presently offered under India's family planning program. More importantly, they say men should be pushed to take up more responsibility for limiting their family. Male methods account only 6% of contraceptive use in India. But one of the most remarkable things about Indians is that they have retained their tradition and values irrespective of the attacks of various invaders that have no doubt left indelible prints on the earth. An incredible racial and cultural fusion of religion, caste and language can be observed in India. India is the only country with almost 83% of the Hindus and about 120 million Muslims, and also home to a considerable portion of Christians, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists and Parsis, so on and so forth. Today, the population policy in India is associated with the same old slogans and old advertisements. The campaign stands greatly in need of new and effective advertisements. Consider that the red triangle has to big effort for attention with the fashionable and colorful ads or advertisements of soft drinks, automobiles and electronic goods. Multinationals are pouring money and effort into their public relations. Bold, lively advertisements that grab the attention of choosy customer have become the order of the day. Why should the family planning left behind? It is a high time that family planning propaganda measures should be more attractive and creative. They should also be target and the audience specific. In today's media, say world, the family planning program must make use of opinion makers from films, sports, arts and politics to carry its messages across to the different segments of the society. The population policy must help the individuals make an intelligent personal choice. An enlightened decision could be guided by the following 6 criteria identified by L.R. Taylor in his introduction to the optimum population for Britain. Number 1, not to produce unwanted children. Number 2, not to take a substantial risk of getting a mentally or physically defective child. Not to produce children because of irresponsibility or religious observance, merely as a byproduct of the sexual intercourse. Next one is to plan the number and spacing the children in the best interests of the mother, child and the rest of the family. Next one is to give the best possible mental and physical environment to child during its determining years. The last one is an affectionate and stable relationship between man and women. Thus, the population problem is not just a matter of handling out contraceptives to happy family. It involves social life and economic life and medicines and necessities and needed every one of the chessboard entities that combine to make a life of man and women. This country needs a more humanistic approach, that is human resource development in its national policies. Through education and employment, our people must be given the chance to respect and esteem themselves. Whether or not we have the second large population in the world, we must have the best people.